Welcome, my friends. Welcome back. Welcome here. As you're trickling in, I am so excited to have you here. I'm excited and to welcome you and invite you to jump into this full force. We got 30 minutes absolutely packed with demonstrations and solutions, right, to real world teacher problems. What we're focusing on today is this little thing. I don't know if you've heard of it, AI. It's kind of on the minds of a lot of educators right now because it's coming at us full force from every direction. And we know from what we're seeing that you can't separate the promise from the peril. It can do incredible things and it can also be a real nuisance. And so I promise you today, when you leave here after talking with my two guests behind stage right now, I'm going to bring them up in a second. I promise you, you are going to walk away with at least one practical shift that you can make in your classroom that is going to support the ethical, accessible, and productive use of AI in the classroom. So before I bring up my guest, a couple little housekeeping things. Number one, I already see people over there in the chat. Yes, yes, yes. Blow the chat up. That is where you can communicate directly with us. I'll be in the chat the whole time. My guests will be in there helping answer questions and just keeping the conversation alive. So introduce yourself. Let us know where you're calling in from. In addition to that, I'm going to challenge you with this right before I bring my guest up. I want to ask you a question, and I'm hoping you put this over there in the chat. And I'm seeing some friendly names popping up. Love this global audience that we've got, folks coming in from all over the place. A lot of folks in the US, we got Belgium. This is wonderful. So we're going to bring that global perspective into this. That's what community is all about. But I want to hear what you have to say about AI. What do you love? What do you hate? It could be one word response in there, but what do you love about AI? What do you hate about AI? Okay, chew on that a minute. Introduce yourself in the chat. Get warmed up. I'm going to bring on stage my close friends and colleagues right here at 𝘁𝗵𝗁, Kyle and Julian. Kyle and Julian, so happy to have you with us.
Hey,
Very exciting stuff.
guys.
Yeah, really. So we're going to kick things right off. I'm actually going to bring Kyle's screen right up on the stage because he's going to just continue right from where I just left off about this conversation around AI.
So great to be here with you all. My name is 𝘁𝗵𝗀. I am a teaching and learning team lead here at 𝘁𝗵𝗁. Our team is all about making sure educators know how to use these tools and have the resources and the training to be effective in their own classrooms. As David said, in the chat, we're talking about, we want to hear from you. We want to know, what are some of those promises or things about AI that excite you? And maybe what are some of those kind of peril or what concerns do you have around AI? So in the chat, we would just love to hear from you about, again, some of those promises and some of those perils. I get to talk to educators every day, and I think that the promise is real, right? AI has the potential to save us time, support personalized learning, improving access to content, and really helping meet the needs of diverse learners. But also the peril is real too, and we have to come to grips with that. Concerns around accuracy, student over-reliance, privacy, and losing control of instruction, right? And also training. I think that's one that educators too, who's training us on these type of tools as well. So love to see in the chat the productivity features of AI. Yes, Liz. I use AI in my daily workflow. Helps me be more efficient in my tasks. Amy, creativity. Yes. I am more creative in my job now with the ideations that I do with Gemini or ChatGPT. So I love that. Easier to personalize. Good. Use it as an assistant. Yes. Love that, Stella. And so I think for teachers right now, we're not sitting on like one side of the promise or the peril. We're right in the middle because we're trying to figure out as educators what is actually safe, practical, and instructionally sound, which is going to kind of lead me into kind of talking a little bit about why the 𝘁𝗵𝗁 story really, really matters. From the very beginning, 𝘁𝗵𝗁 has been rooted in accessibility, making sure students have access to digital content and the supports they need to better understand. So long before AI was a big thing in education, 𝘁𝗵𝗁 was focused on removing those barriers. So making content more accessible, read aloud support for comprehension, and multimodal supports to engage students with content. So at Cami now, our solution that we're focusing on with AI isn't more AI, it's intentional AI and responsible AI inside the learning experience that teachers are already having, and it's grounded in accessibility. So it's really here to support learning, not replace teachers. There's no open-ended chatbots. Teachers always remain in control of the AI that their students have access to. And we have guardrails built in place that are focused, safe, and classroom ready. And so this intentionality shows up in the tools that we built and that our students are using every day within Cami. And again, one of those biggest challenges we see is access, right? Especially when a single lesson includes so many diverse learners. Teachers want students working from the same content, but they need ways to support that understanding without lowering expectations or changing the task altogether. And that's where Cami's Understand AI menu comes into play. The Understand menu, which you can see a couple of our features here, gives students that on-demand support right where they're working. Students can listen to content using our new AI-powered natural sounding read aloud voices. They can translate text with improved AI accuracy, helping them in that more meaningful translation support for understanding. Our explain feature, one of my absolute favorite features to show and talk about, can explain concepts, math problems, images, diagrams, so much to students. It's like that little tutor on the side for them. Also, cannot forget our adjust and relevel. So the ability for students to take text, simplifying it down without changing the meaning and without changing the content. And for teachers, it's not always about the time saving, even though we definitely want to save more time as educators, but it's about reducing that prep work and that post-grading work without sacrificing the quality. Creating high quality questions to check for understanding, auto-scoring both multiple choice and short answer questions, and most importantly, giving us automatic insights with that student progress. And that's where Cami's Questions AI is going to help. It allows teachers to generate questions directly from existing content, helping them create checks for understanding more efficiently and really, really streamlining grading for all without changing that curriculum or starting from scratch. So AI isn't replacing instruction here, it's really supporting it. And with all of that, I'm so excited to hand it off to Jillian, who is going to walk you through some of the ways that Questions AI can be helped for teachers and how those supports in our Understand AI menu work. Jillian?
Yes. Love it. Love it.
Thank you, Kyle. No, I couldn't have said it better myself. You perfectly set the stage for us. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to jump in. We're going to start looking at, okay, how are these AI tools actually going to help my students understand the curriculum that I'm giving them so that I can hopefully give them more rigorous tasks and they're going to be prepared to achieve that, right? So let's jump right in here. I have a code that I'm going to have you guys join just so that you guys have access to these slides, okay? You can either type it in or I just put it in the chat. If you go to meetcami.com/unstoppable, you should be able to get access to our document here so that you can at least follow along with me. And I see you guys flooding in the collaborator view, which is awesome. The first tool I'm going to look at today, we're going to look at two tools, the Understand menu, which Kyle talked about. We're going to look at two different tools from there. And then I also want to sort of preview what Questions AI can do to create authentic assessments for your students using AI. Right? But again, the intention is to try to use it purposefully and intentionally to where the students aren't getting the answers to these questions fed to them with a spoon, right? Or you can also use it as a time-saving tool to create authentic assessments based on what you are giving them, right? Okay, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. This is a secondary history assignment that I might give to my students. So if I give it to them on paper, right? I'm relying on their prior knowledge. I'm relying on them being able to read this page and actually be able to understand everything, right? And I'm also relying that if they don't understand it, that they're going to raise their hand and call me over, right? As we know, that's not how things always work. Sometimes if we can provide supports to our students to where they can fill in the gap and keep that ball rolling, there's going to be a lot more learning happening. So the two tools I want to show you guys are Translate and the Explain tool. But I want you guys to practice these tools after we leave today, right? You've got dictionary, picture dictionary, summarize, releveling the difficulty of a text. These are all with that same intention of getting that playing field leveled so that students can achieve the task that you have for them, okay? But for time's sake, we're going to go over to the Translate tool. Very, very simple to use, and this can be used from the student side or the teacher side beforehand as sort of a strategy to, provide some support before you give it to your students. All I have to do if I have the Translate tool highlighted is hover over the text that I want to translate and then let go. And you'll notice I have Spanish chosen, but we have over 200 different languages in this list to choose from, and we can always add more. So if you don't see one that you need, just let us know. But that translation is as simple as that. Highlight over the text you want to translate and get that production. What I also want to highlight here is some of the accessibility tools that are built into this Translate feature, right? I have Read Aloud here. And it's not that robotic voice that comes with any Read Aloud software. It's actually an intentional voice actor that's associated with that language so that we can get proper inflection, we can get the proper accent given when that translation is read aloud. So that is a very, very nice feature to have. The next one here is create comment from response. If a student is using this Translate tool and they want to go and answer the questions, well, as soon as they go to answer the questions, there goes that translation, right? We want them to have access to that translation even after they move away from the tool. So with that create comment from response button, I can stitch this translation in the margin here. And so now the student doesn't lose it when they go to answer the question, right? We don't want there to be any pitfalls or forks in the road when a student is using these tools to where it isn't as effective as it could be, right? The last little feature within that Translate tool I want to show you guys is the ability to copy this response to your clipboard. Okay, now why might you want to do that? Well, if I copy this to my clipboard and say I did this for the entire reading, I could then go to 𝘁𝗵𝗁, which is a little tip I love to show teachers. It takes me just straight to a blank white page, right? I don't have to go to the 𝘁𝗵 dashboard or anything. And at this point, I could create a whole nother copy of my reading in a whole nother language, right? I might take some time to format it and change the size of the text and those types of things. But again, you have the ability to use these tools from the teacher's perspective to offer those kind of supports, whether it's stitching it in the margin or creating another copy, or your students can use this in the moment as they're engaging with your curriculum, right? So the next one I want to show you guys is the Explain tool. And what it does is attempt to explain the material that it's being given. So if I highlight over any information, this can be a photograph, this can be a math problem, this can be a science, anatomy graphic, but it can also be a question, it can also be a small paragraph, anything. The attempt here is to try and fill in those learning gaps, give some contextual questions or a little bit of information to push the student in that right direction without giving them the answers that you might want to have them think about on their own. Let's see what it looks like. On this question here, how did the weather phenomenon during the Dust Bowl impact farming, right? The Dust Bowl, a U.S. history event in the 1930s about severe droughts ruining the agriculture industry. Well, if I give this question to any other AI bot, it would just feed me the answer. But with the Explain tool, let's see what it does. Let me get back to English. So this is an excellent question that can encourage us to think about the interconnectedness of natural phenomena and human activity. So this part asks you to recall the specific weather conditions characterized by the Dust Bowl. What kind of weather was prevalent, right? How could this potentially impact farming? So you'll see here that it's giving a little push in the right direction, but nowhere here is it telling them what kind of weather conditions that specifically might have ruined farming, right? But it's pushing them in that right direction, trying to help them make that connection without spoon feeding it to them, right? And this, again, this can be done on anything. If I take this same tool and I switch to toggle area selection, watch what happens when I hover over a photograph. it starts to break down the things in this photograph and gives some students some things to think about, right? The family, the setting, what types of things can we see in the context? What might this family be doing on the side of the road? What does the landscape tell us about where they might be, right? The intention is to activate some of the things that they're learning in their class, or maybe even helping them think critically as they're looking at sources. All right, I'm seeing some things in the chat. Awesome. Love that it works on photos. This feature has my heart. I love this. I'm hoping that you guys are seeing how you might use this in your curriculum, right? This is a high school history lesson, but how would this work in your grade level, your content area? Okay. So let's see some activity in the chat. What do we think about the understand menu as a whole? Supporting students without giving them the information that you want them to think about on their own. What do we think here?
And there's two questions I want to address too that came up. One, Gabriela Lopez asked the question in Spanish. She said, "Do I need to have the premium version of 𝘁𝗵𝗂 to access these tools that you're showing?"
Yes, you do need the premium version.
And then Michael Hernandez asked, "Well, what if I don't want students to use all of these tools? What if I only want to give them one or two?"
That is an amazing question. And you guys might actually notice that on your end, when you join this document, you don't have access to all the tools that I have access to. And that's because before I gave this access to the session, I went into what we call feature control. So if I click that purple share button, I have access to go into feature control and then make the choices of what tools I want my students to have access to. Now that's a game changer, right? Because again, you might not want them to have the full suite of tools. I always tell teachers, if one of your questions is, hey, summarize the article, you're probably not going to have the summarize tool turned on, right? If I'm in a class where I'm assessing their language acquisition, probably not going to have translate tool turned on. So we want teachers to be at the driver's seat of this learning experience. And so we want you to be able to make those choices. And so watch how this works. If I turn all these tools on and I hit confirm, you should see that update on your end of the document. Somebody tell me in the chat, do you now see all the tools, or at least more tools? Yes, Lisa says yes. So you can make these changes as much as you want, right? I just did that in the middle of our session. So you're not locked into the changes that you make when you start, because we want you to constantly be able to make adjustments on the fly. That's what we do as teachers, right? We adapt to the situation we're in and to what our students need. And so you have that ability to go in there anytime and change that. Awesome. Seeing that you guys are loving that.
Yeah, as I say, lots of love for feature control over there in the chat, man. Everybody wants to have that, right? That's proof that this is built for teachers. This is built for the classroom. We are teachers. We were teachers. We know what teachers need.
And even in that same vein, right? We have the ability to turn off copy and paste. I mean, I've never seen a teacher tool more that spoke my language from a social studies perspective, right? Yes, that is what feature control is all about. I love it. All right, are we ready to see the questions AI tool? Again, what I'm hoping you do when you leave here today is go to 𝘁𝗵𝗂, pull in your curriculum that you're using, and then see how these tools work on your stuff, right? But are we ready for assessments? Awesome. Let's get down here. What I also want to show you, okay, so Questions AI. I'll go back up here. Questions AI is a versatile assessment tool that's going to give you the complete freedom to create the kind of assessment you want. And what do I mean? You're going to have the ability to convert existing questions that are on the page into digital questions, and we'll talk about why you might want to do that. You're going to have the ability to generate brand new questions that didn't exist before using some of the information you're giving it. And you're also going to be able to create questions from scratch, right? If you want to go in and put in your own questions. So let's see how this works. I'm going to hit on the Questions AI tool, another premium feature. And here's the options I have. If I want to just jump right in and start typing in questions, I've got that ability, right? What I want to show you guys first, we'll look at Convert as well, because there's some really cool things you can do with Convert. But I want to show you, if I have just this reading on page 6 here, and I want to make some questions that go on this page or with this page, I'm going to click Generate. And then I'm going to be able to make some really great customizations. I can tell what grade I'm in. This is an 11th grade resource. I'm going to be able to isolate specifically what page I want the questions to be based on. So for this particular one, it's just page 6, but you can make a lot of different choices here and have it be based on information throughout your session. And then I have the ability to really customize what kind of questions I'm getting. Let me show you what I mean. If I hit advanced settings, there's going to be some more options here. So let's say, for example, I want 2 multiple choice questions. We'll keep it at 4 options. I want these to be level 1, DOK, depth of knowledge. We'll leave those at level 1. I'm going to add more questions. We'll just do 2 again. But I want these ones to be at level 2. And then for my last one, I'm going to change this from multiple choice to short answer. We just want 1 question this time. And we're going to have that be level 3, strategic thinking, right? So now I've got 2 questions at level 1, multiple choice, 2 at level 2, and 1 short answer at level 3. Let's see what it does. While that's generating, it does take a little bit of time. I'm going to push it over to Kyle to talk a little bit about how we approach things.
Awesome. So this is kind of your commercial break, if you will. So while those are generating, I just want to talk really quickly about 𝘁𝗵's professional learning opportunities. 𝘁𝗵 has a dedicated team of teaching and learning coordinators. These are former educators who have either used 𝘁𝗵 in the classroom themselves or have spent years in ed tech supporting implementation and best practices. So our role is really to help schools make this practical. That can look like virtual sessions. It could be on-demand resources, or just even helping you kind of map out your professional learning roadmap across the entire year. And I always tell people, 𝘁𝗵 doesn't do boring PD. It's hands-on, it's relevant, and it gets teachers excited. So I'm going to drop a link here in the chat for you. This is how you can actually go ahead and book time, 15, 30-minute time slots with a dedicated TLC within your area or within your state. And we will connect you with a great individual who can walk you through all of those different options.
All right, that was perfect timing. Here's our questions. These were generated using that Questions AI Generate tool. And let's see what they look like. These are our first 2 level 1s. What was the generic nickname given to the migrants from the Great Plains during the Dust Bowl, regardless of their home state? Right, driving home that sort of name that was given to all those migrants, no matter if they were from Oklahoma or not. Those people that came over to California had that nickname, right? According to the text, what was the primary destination, right? So these are recall. Good. Which of the following best explains why California was not the promised land? A little bit deeper, right? A little bit of a broader understanding of this movement. Based on the text, the Dust Bowl was caused by a combination of which environmental factors, right? Trying to engage with the whole of the text and not just finding specific facts. And then lastly, our short answer question. Using evidence from the text, explain why arrival in California did not end the migration for many Dust Bowl families. Describe the challenges they faced and the lifestyle they had to adopt. It's a pretty great question, right? I mean, if I want to go in here and edit that, all I got to do is click on the question. I can change the wording. These keywords are going to be that auto-graded aspect. So if a student uses those words in their response, it's going to award the point. Now, yes, as the teacher, I can still go in there and say, actually, I don't want that to give that point, even though they use that word, they're not using it appropriately. You're still at the driver's seat, right, throughout this whole process. But it does help make things more efficient, right? Many times if they use follow the harvest, it's going to lead to a correct answer. And so it might help weed out those ones that are obviously correct and really help you focus on those that need help. Okay. Now, the student experience looks like this. If I hit student preview, they're going to have the document and the questions are right here on the right-hand side. And then all they got to do is click in the box to answer the questions. And so when you're making a 𝘁𝗵 assignment with Questions AI built in, all of these points are going to compile into a total score, and that score is going to automatically go to your LMS system, right? So think about how much time that is saving. I used to give this assignment to my class on paper, and I had a stack of 30 papers, right? And I spent about an hour reading through those questions. Many of the short answers were similar responses. How much time could I have saved using this method, right? Now that's generate. That's let's take questions that don't exist and let's create new ones, which is an amazing tool. One thing I want to leave you guys with is the convert factor. When you have questions on the page, maybe you have an activity that has questions attached to it and you like those questions. And again, if you were using 𝘁𝗵 a long time ago, you might have done something just like this where the students would use the text box, they fill in their answer, you analyze it digitally, you grade it, and you award the points. Let me show you the benefit of converting these pre-existing questions into digital versions of the same ones. So if I hit convert, I'm going to choose it from this document. Yes, if you have another document that has questions you want to bring in, you could do that too, which is awesome. But I'm going to convert ones on this document. I'm going to just do page 7, actually. Just page 7. And this should be a little bit quicker than generating from scratch. But the goal here is to create digital versions of these questions. So again, those points are awarded automatically. The students are typing into a response box instead of using the text box and having to sort of manipulate the size of their font to fit the frame, right? You might end up with a student that doesn't format it well, and it's kind of difficult to grade this worksheet. And so giving them the ability to do it digitally gives some intrinsic benefit, but there's also some visual aspects that I'm going to show you guys that I think you'll love. Okay. So I've got my questions. How did the weather phenomenon during the Dust Bowl impact farming? There it is. It's matched each one of those questions that were there before. And it's the same process. Those keywords are going to give them the point. But let me show you guys something really cool. Maybe I don't want them to have this as well as a digital version on the right, the way that I showed you with the student preview. If I'm the teacher, I can take this question and drag it onto the page and replace where that question was with the digital version, right? And so now it's the same experience as before, except they're not using the text box. They're just clicking right inside and going, and it's auto grading. It's treating it the same way it did before or on the side here, except now that's directly on the page.
Julian, you're blowing minds over here, man. I'm watching the chat, just like, this is great. Gabriela's like, go! Amazing,
I love it.
man.
I love it. I love it.
I have to jump in. I have a feeling, Julian, that you could probably share about 1,000 more ways that you find this tool useful. And so I want to use that as a bit of a preface to say, this is the first webinar we've done in a while, but we are not slowing down, folks. We have got a full schedule ahead. So you will be getting more information in your inbox if you're watching this or if you're watching the recording about those upcoming events. And I want to thank you, Julian and Kyle, for jumping on today and sharing just a snippet of what Cami can do to create accessible independence in your classroom with the snap of a finger. And I also want to thank everyone who's watching for participating in the chat, for throwing in your questions, and just being here with us today, right? Your time is the most valuable thing you have, and it's an honor that you chose to spend some of it with us. And so what I want to do is make sure that you all walk away with proof of how you've just spent your time. And so I'm thanking you, Julie and Kyan, thank you so much, but I'm going to pull that screen off the stage. And really quickly here, I want to share this page. So we've got a little link, and I'm going to put it up over my face right now that you should be able to click on, and we'll throw it into the chat as well. But essentially, it's going to take you to this Cami doc. Okay. Now, this is not a certificate of participation. This is not your resources for the session. This is instructions on how to access what's called Mobile Minds. Mobile Minds is a platform where we host all of our asynchronous learning opportunities. So all of our certification courses, our webinars, and places where you can go and get those just-in-time resources that you want to see. Uh-oh, boy, that's not good. Okay, I'm gonna remove that from stage. I'm just gonna give you the live link to this bad boy. All right, here it is. Bam. Okay, if you click on that, it'll take you to this PDF. This has instructions on how to set up your Mobile Mind account. But what I want to point out is right here. This code, and I'm going to put this code in the chat too, because some of you in your RSVP, you might have already gotten set up in Mobile Minds. But once you do it once, you're done. So set it up now, because if you're going to be watching our webinar series, this is how we're going to be distributing those resources. This is how you can get your certificate for being here. And then Mobile Minds lets you sort of track all your webinar progress and get little badges and cool stuff. So the code I just put in the chat, when you get logged into your Mobile Mind, you're going to see this event, this webinar series. And I'll go ahead and I'll put the link to this in here too, because it will take you directly to this event. And it's going to ask you, hey, do you have a code? If you're watching the recording, you're going to need the code from that link on that PDF. It's unique to this webinar. Some of you might have clicked the check-in button, so you already have access to all the stuff that I'm talking about. But once that event goes live, you get access to this screen. You can see the badge there, and it's going to allow you to download your certificate. Yeah, Stella, you're amazing. I knew you joined last week. So once you join Mobile Minds, like I said, you only need to do it once. And then every time we have a webinar, we're going to share that special live code with you and the folks watching so that you can jump in, you can get access to the resources. And then you're also going to be able to see our whole calendar of events, sign up for other stuff, and get notified of all of our awesomeness. But if you have any questions about that process, because I know it is new and new systems can be a bit confusing, I want you to directly reach out to me, and I'm going to make sure that you get everything that you need associated with your spending your time here. So if that process isn't something you can do right now, shoot me an email. I'm going to take care of it right away. All right. So yeah, Julian, certified 𝘁𝗵𝗁 course is right in there too. So we are a little over time, and I want to respect yours as best I can. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being in the chat, bringing your energy. Julian, Michael, you two are amazing. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, everyone. And we will see you at the next one. All right. Signing off.
Thanks, guys.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Thank you. Gracias, Gabriela. Ciao.